What is up, everybody? JC.
And C.
And we got another top 10 awesome for you guys.
And this one is on one of the best wrestlers in ECW history. We're talking about Raven. Yes, we're finally bringing you a top 10 awesome on Raven. Long time coming.
Had to happen.
Respect the fuck out of Scott Levy, so we got to bring you this top 10 awesome.
All right, so the first reason why Raven is awesome, he's an intelligent man.
He is a genius. I'm going to flat out say it. This guy has an IQ over 160. He is definitely genius level, and I can tell it by the way he thinks, what he talks about. I've seen his RF shoots before, and they're very insightful. Yep. This is a guy who back in 2005 was talking about how the wrestlers are too in love with the flips and kicks and bad psychology. He was talking about this way back then and how that was driving away casuals. In 2005, wrestlers were talking about shit that we're talking about in 2021. And nothing has happened.
No. In fact, it's gotten worse.
It's gotten worse because the wrestlers in the industry are fucking marks.
Mm-hmm. And the wrestlers that want to get into the industry realize they have to be good at the flippy-dippy shit in order to get a butt on a card.
Sad. It really is fucking sad. And here was Scott Levy calling it out. And another thing Scott Levy talked about, too, just further goes to show that he's a smart guy, is he was talking about quantum physics.
Yeah.
How many fucking wrestlers talk about quantum physics?
Not many.
Yeah. So this shows that this guy is an open-minded dude. He understands wrestling. He understands the world. And I honestly wish that he had a spot in a top company right now.
Yeah, he really should.
Well, it's because creative differences. I understand. He has to have his way, and they want to have their way.
Could you imagine if he was the head booker on AEW? How much better it would be?
Oh, it'd be amazing.
Yeah.
You would have stories.
It would be direct competition to WWE. Yeah. Guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
Guaranteed. Him in and of himself could do better than anyone who's booking them right now.
And we will definitely get down to his booking expertise.
Yes.
We got that as one of the reasons.
Yes. All right. So reason number 2 why Raven is awesome. He played an excellent cult leader.
He was great as that cult leader.
He was.
Let me just say this. Growing up, I freaking loved Raven. He was one of my favorite wrestlers. Like, it was like pretty much Sabu, RVD, Raven, and Taz. Those were like my Mount Rushmore of ECW. Raven was so fucking cool to me. And the fact that he played this cult leader character that was able to influence other people. He had a cool look to him. He looked fucking cool. Looked like a rock star. You know, cut these amazing promos. He just had that swag, that cool guy swag that a lot of wrestlers just don't have nowadays.
They don't.
But back then, he fit in with all those other cool wrestlers. Keep in mind, he was on the front cover of the WCW versus NWO World Tour game.
Yeah. Yeah, he was.
That? Yeah.
He was. I remember that.
Yeah. So it was cool to see him get that shine. But yeah, just a really cool looking guy. Had a great gimmick with this cult leader. And it was to the point where he brought it over to WCW and still was able to accurately portray it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Vince really dropped the ball on him.
Totally.
There was some sort of mismanagement there, some sort of problem. I'm imagining Raven and Triple H had some bullshit.
Yeah.
If I had to guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, the cult leader gimmick never really got over in WWE, but in WCW and ECW, it really got over. Even the Ravens flock in WCW was amazing.
Yeah.
I remember going to a WCW show and seeing the Ravens flock build over time, how they had Billy Kim in. I got to see the debut of Perry Saturn when he came over. And then they also had, they had Van Hammer, just Lodi. Seeing the group really grow and become its own little faction, I think was really cool.
It really was, man.
Yeah.
Reason number 3 why Raven is awesome, he was a great promo.
He was a fantastic promo. Quote the Raven, nevermore. Well, I love it when that WCW promo where he looks at the camera, he's like, Marks.
Cool.
And just the promos that he used to cut in ECW were fire. Like, if you want to see some really good shit, he did a really good one. I want to say it was when ECW was over in Japan. And he did a promo on top of this rooftop in Tokyo. And you could see all the illuminated billboards in the background.
Yeah, I remember that.
And it was fucking just great. I miss promos like that. When wrestlers would cut promos out in the streets or out in wherever, they're hanging out in the city, they're cutting a promo. I miss that. That gets me more in touch with who the wrestler is because I get to see them in a natural element, not a wrestling ring or a fucking backstage area.
And he knew that.
Yeah.
He knew that.
He did.
The guy is highly intelligent.
He is. But yeah, fantastic promo. And he's one of those guys really that also got to show his acting range too. His work with Sandman, Tommy Dreamer, and ECW was high level acting.
It was.
And I could see why Paul Heyman put the stock he did in Scott Levy because he saw, you know what, this guy's a fucking star.
Yeah, it paid off.
It really did.
It paid off.
Yeah.
Reason number 4 why Raven is awesome. He made less mean more.
I love that. Just the fact that this guy took the DDT, which at the time, not a lot of people were using as a finisher. And he made that done. Like, once you hit the DDT, you're done. And it's something that I really like about Raven is he was never that athletic of a guy. In a lot of ways, much like a Jake Roberts 2.0.
Yeah.
He had a lot in common with him. I mean, granted, he had a better shape to him. I think he looked more like a wrestler, had bigger arms. But at the same time, he's one of those guys that realized, hey, I need to get over with my personality, my psychology, my character, and then my athleticism.
Right.
That's the very last thing. And that's why I like the fact that he took a finisher like DDT, which, I mean, it's not a very athletic finisher. You just put somebody in a headlock and drop them on the head. But he made that mean the world because it was his finisher. Once he hit that, you're done.
That's just so cool, man, that he was able to do. And because, like, nowadays, they want to kick out of it.
Right.
8 million times.
Right. You think, hey, you're dropping somebody on their skull in real life? That's going to knock them the fuck out.
Exactly.
I mean, look no further than when Jake the Snake Roberts did on Ricky Steamboat.
Yeah.
Out on the concrete. Knocked him out cold.
Yeah.
It's a legit fucking move. Like, if you use that in real life, like, let's say you get somebody in a headlock and you drop them on the concrete, they're out.
Yeah.
That's it. They're done. They might have a cracked skull, too.
Yeah.
That's a legit fucking move you can use in a fight. So to see Raven doing something like that was fucking amazing.
It was.
And another thing that I love, too, and this has to do with his psychology, I got to mention how he had a match with Chris Benoit. Benoit had him in the crippler crossface.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen another wrestler do this, mind you. And Raven started laughing while on the crippler crossface, like he liked the pain.
Mm-hmm.
And then he passed out.
That's cool, man.
I was like, I never seen another wrestler do that before.
He played a good cult leader psycho in that role.
Well, but just taking something like that, something that nobody ever thought to do something like that with the crippler crossface.
No.
And he's like, you know what? I'm going to take something that shouldn't mean that much, and I'm going to make it mean more.
Man.
Love that.
Could we have more wrestlers like Raven now?
Great psychology.
Can we please?
Please.
No? They're all going to be flippy-flop jobbers?
We need athletes.
Man. Ugh. Reason number 5 why Raven is awesome. He was part of the best storylines in ECW.
Yes, he was.
By far.
I mean, all I can think of right now when I think of Raven is I think of him crucifixing Sandman.
Yeah.
I think of Tommy Dreamer handcuffing him to the cage and kendo sticking him.
Yeah.
I think of just the brutal shit that he did. Like, I remember one time when he was feuding with Sandman, he stole Sandman's son from him.
Yeah, in the playground.
Well, there's that, but then he had Sandman's son show up dressed in the leather jacket like Raven and flat out say that you're not my father anymore.
Dude.
Just hardcore shit. And then you see Sandman screaming like, Tyler! Tyler! I love that emotion. You don't get that anymore.
You don't.
You don't get that anymore. That was like really pulling on the heartstrings.
You get Dominic Mysterio now. That's what you get.
What the fuck?
That's what you get.
What the fuck? So that's the type of shit that I respected Paul Heyman for. Maybe I should have been respecting Scott Levy for coming up with those ideas.
Yeah.
And Heyman being like, oh, okay, let's go for it.
Maybe it was the thing where it was the talents
getting themselves over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
wouldn't surprise me.
And Paul Heyman saying, okay, let's do your own thing.
Exactly.
That's kind of what ECW kind of looked like.
Well, pretty much like with Eric Bischoff.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to get yourself over? Go out there for a little bit.
Yeah.
Fill up some time.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. We're calling it right now. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Number 6. This guy has wrestled in all of the big promotions. You name it, he's wrestled there.
Yeah.
TNA.
Yep.
WWE.
Yep.
WWF.
Yep.
WCW.
Yep.
ECW.
Yep.
Everywhere. Fucking everywhere. Scott Levy has been everywhere. If it's not his Raven, it's a Scotty Flamingo. He's been there.
He's been everywhere, man.
Yes, he has. And that's something that is really rare, is a guy that has worked in every single company and knows the atmosphere.
Yeah,
I mean,
seriously.
you can't say that about too many of these stars or these veterans nowadays, because usually they're either a veteran of WCW or a veteran of WWE. You got a guy who's experienced it all.
Yeah, that's really cool, man.
Number 7, cool theme song. Hey, come on and play. Love it.
Yeah.
Good shit.
It was cool stuff, man.
I mean, I'm not a huge Offspring fan, but that song is a jam. That's a good song.
For the character that he was going for,
The grungy character.
it made sense.
Yeah, it really did. So, cool theme song.
Yeah.
And number 8, good psychology. We talked about this earlier with the Chris Benoit incident. Let's go ahead and talk about it a little bit more. This guy knew how to really sell to the crowd, and he knew how to work the crowd too. He knew how to get them invested in his matches, and he knew how to play to them too, which is something these wrestlers do not know how to do.
No, they don't.
If you're a wrestler, more than anything, you need to get regular people to care about your wrestling matches. And how do you get them to care about your wrestling matches? With your personality and your psychology. Those two things together. Because the personality will get them to watch you. That'll get them to watch it. But if you want to get them to keep on paying attention to you, especially during a wrestling match, you have to have good psychology. And Raven got this. He got that, you know what? I have to get these people to fucking hate me.
Yeah.
I got to get them to fucking hate me, want them to see me get my ass kicked. If I get to that level, then I'm doing my job.
Yeah, and he did his job, man.
He was a hated heel. So much of a hated heel. I don't know if you guys remember this, but there's actually a segment in WCW, and this was back when he was laying up against the ropes on Nitro. And some crazy fucking redneck hopped over the barricade and yanked him by the back of his hair.
Oh, God.
And you know how much of a professional Scott Levy was? He looked back like, okay, this guy yanked my hair, and then security jumped on the kid. Yeah. And he kept on going.
That's cool.
Professional wrestler right there.
Yeah.
True professional. Yes.
Emphasize professional.
Yes, absolutely. Unlike today's crop.
Seriously, yeah.
Number 9, culturally relevant character.
Yeah.
The fact that he took the whole grunge movement that was going on at the time, and he's like, I'm going to make a character out of this.
He did.
He's like, you know what? What's the whole thing with a lot of these Kurt Cobain kids, with a lot of these Nirvana kids? What are they all about?
Yeah.
They're all depressed. They're all about themselves. What about Raven? What about me?
Boom.
Boom. Just genius. That is like the perfect thing to fucking do if you're a professional wrestler, is take something that's culturally relevant that nobody else is fucking doing, and you make that shit yours.
Yeah.
Can we talk about his name, please? Let's do a shoe-in.
Yes.
Raven. Easy to say, cool as fuck, has a tie into Edgar Allan Poe.
Yep.
Fucking cool name.
Yeah. And the thing that I like about his character is it's not a goofy, supernatural character like Undertaker or Kane.
Nah, he's just a dude that's fucked in the head, that had a fucked up childhood, and he decided to go into pro wrestling.
It could be a real life person. This could be a real life character.
Yes, he made the Raven persona believable.
Yeah, it makes it more believable.
Yeah, totally. Number 10, about Raven, the final reason, this guy is an underrated booker. Now,
yes,
people do not know this about Scott Levy, but at one time, he was booking 3 shows for WWF. He was hired on as a WWE booker, and he was in charge of booking, I want to say, WWE Superstars, WWE Velocity, and WWE Heat. It was like 3 shows that he booked, and he said he would be able to get the booking done for all those hour-long shows in less than 6 hours.
Yeah.
So he would show up, check this out, this is the crazy thing, he would show up for work at the office in Stamford for 1 day out of the week, do all of his work for all 3 shows in 6 hours, and then he wouldn't come to the office for the rest of the week.
It's just like, goddamn, where's that
Scott Levy guy?
Where's that Scott Levy guy? Where'd he go? Isn't he supposed to be here?
Well, you know Vince has so much on his plate he doesn't give a shit.
True.
I'm sure Scott showed up for the booking meetings. The meetings that you actually have to attend in.
Yeah.
But other than that, he's just like, fuck it, I can get my work done in 6 hours while you jobbers fucking sit around and brainstorm ideas.
And honestly, the things that he would come up with in 6 hours are better than anything that could come up with in days or weeks.
Those shows back in the day, all the 3 shows I mentioned, Superstars, Velocity, and Heat, all were worth watching. I mean, when you turned it on and you got to see Christian versus Test on a Velocity,
okay,
that's a fucking good match.
It is.
You know, and Scott Levy got that shit. He's like, you know what? If these guys aren't going to be used on Raw, fuck it. I'll use them on the sideshows.
I think AEW should really hire this guy.
Never will.
They never will, but they should.
He's not their mindset.
He would convert them.
He's not an ass kisser.
He would convert them. He could convince them into trying something new.
Don't get me wrong. I respect the fuck out of him, and I think he should get the job. But I know the type of culture that they have backstage in AEW, and I know that these types of people, like Cody Rhodes, for example, are egotistical. Yeah. And they probably had run-ins with Scott Levy in WWE and have resentment towards him.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's a rift between Cody Rhodes and Scott Levy. And for that reason alone, he wouldn't get hired. But Scott Levy is an amazing genius. He is a hell of a wrestler, a hell of a booking mind.
Yeah.
And he's somebody who I really miss being involved in pro wrestling.
Absolutely.
Much like Vince Russo, I really miss Scott Levy being involved in pro wrestling. So
yes.
Spin our top 10 awesome on Raven. NC.
JC and
peace out.